Hello, welcome back to the channel, or welcome here if you've never been before. In this video, I will be embarking upon a journey of reading books that my subscribers have suggested to me. I feel like whenever I talk about books in one of my videos, my comment section is just full of really great ideas of books to read. And I also asked my Discord community for some book recs and immediately was flooded with a bunch of really good ones. So I'm gonna be reading from that long list of suggestions, and I'm probably gonna turn this into like a little series of reading books or series that my subscribers have recommended to me. So that sounds fun. I'm really excited. I almost fear asking this, but leave your suggestions down in the comments below if you'd like me to read a book that you suggest. I will say, I thought of this idea a handful of days ago and then started reading one of the books that someone in my Discord server has suggested, and so far, loving it. Absolutely loving it. So, the first book that I'm reading is The Do-Over by Bethany Turner, and so far, so cute. I'm not gonna be doing any spoilers for any of these videos ever, because I always want to give you guys a chance to read the book for yourself. But anyways, it's a romance. So far, it's super cute. I am about 60% through, so right now our two romantic interests are kind of at that like third act conflict right now, and it's ripping my heart out, and I have stuff to do too. Like, I've been reading it and I was like, oh yeah, I'll film the intro and then I'll be like, yes, I'm starting to read this. Now that I'm almost 60-something% into the book, I'm like, okay, I gotta film the beginning of this video before I get too far into it and it's too late. Anyways, I've mostly been reading it at work and in bed, which is why I haven't really filmed anything about it, but I started it a couple days ago. I'm like 65% of the way through or something like that. Loving it so far. It's totally giving me Emily Henry vibes in terms of like the kind of very relatable stream of consciousness, like ridiculous inner monologue kind of romance novel that's like very quirky and whatever. It's been so cute and I really like it so far. I've been in such a romance mood the past month or so. I don't know what it is. I've just really been craving romance novels. But anyways, I have to go do the things that I actually need to do, aka edit a different video right now, and I will get to reading this a little bit later. Hopefully I can finish it tonight and I will give you guys my final thoughts about it. And in terms of my ratings, I might save those for the end, because I feel like when I rate a book immediately after I finish, it usually has like rating inflation, you know what I mean? Where the second that you finish a book, it's like way better than you could ever like really rationally think about it in your mind, and then like a couple days goes by and you kind of come back down to reality. So far, this is definitely in the 4-star range, like in the mid to high 4s. I don't think it's giving me 5-star vibes, just because it's not like literally making me like, oh my gosh, because the main character is a little bit frustrating to me, a little bit, but it's all like realistic, you know what I mean? Anyways, let me stop rambling. I'll be back. Hi, I'm here to interrupt the reading vlog real quick to say thank you to the sponsor of today's video and partner on the channel, which is Mint Mobile. I don't know what else I can say about Mint Mobile that hasn't already been said. The cost is amazing. The service is really good. It takes like 10 minutes to switch over. If you live in the US, there's not really a great reason as to why you shouldn't switch over to Mint Mobile, because it literally saves you money. Like you guys know, all I talk about on this channel in general is doing no buy, being intentional about your purchases, all this good stuff. So I feel like where you can cut costs down and not sacrifice the quality, that is really what you kind of want to be focusing on. And Mint Mobile is one of those things. And you guys know that I'm super picky about the sponsors and things that I have on my channel. So I'm not just gonna be saying things to like force you to buy things or switch over to things and like puts you in a bad spot. That is not the goal of my YouTube channel. I would rather just not sponsor anything at all, being completely honest, but Mint Mobile will genuinely save you money. I've had wonderful experiences with them so far. So I'll have a ton of people in the community as well. So if you're wondering where you can cut costs down, I highly suggest checking them out. And if you do, and you really want to support this channel and me making videos and stuff, then please use my link in the description. It is trymintmobile.com/GraceNevitt, and it helps me out. It'll help you out because it'll save you money, and it's pretty much a win-win for everyone. So if you want to do that, then check out the link in my description, and thank you again to Mint Mobile for being a partner on this channel. That was such a good book. It was so cute. Oh my gosh. Okay, so final thoughts. While I fix my hair because it looks absolutely insane. Really cute romance novel. I definitely have found a new author that I enjoy. Definitely gave Emily Henry vibes. Did all the things that it needed to do. The main character had an emotional arc. I apologize for the clicking. My boyfriend is playing video games, but what else would a couple do besides read and play video games at the same time? Am I right? The main character had a really good arc. There were certain points where I was like just wanting to like scream into the book and be like, girl, come on, don't do this to me. It was really good. Obviously, I'm gonna sit on my rating for a second because I don't want to like give it the inflated like rating of the high of just finishing a really sweet book with a super adorable ending, but I really enjoyed it a lot. So thank you so much, Chrissy, for suggesting this book. I've definitely found a new author that I'm going to be reading books from in future. So anyways, fantastic experience. Super starting off strong with a great one. I have been in very much a romance mood for the past month or so, but I'm gonna try to see if I can shift gears to a different genre for this next book, and I guess we'll find out together what it's gonna be. I'll probably pick a new one tomorrow from the list, the very long list, and see what's available at the library. So see you then. We are officially starting the second book of this video. And it is a complete departure from the previous book that I just read. And it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, I can't lie. This is not a genre that I typically gravitate towards. Now that I'm actually thinking about it, this might be the first book of this genre that I've ever read. I'm kind of nervous, I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna be reading Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. It was the same person that wrote The Martian. If you haven't read it, you've probably seen It's a Matt Damon movie. Anyways, I'm kind of nervous about this, I'm not gonna lie. Not just because it's my first science fiction book, but also because I actually just don't really like space that much. It kind of scares me. Not in a way of like, oh, it's like so big and whatever, it's scary. If you know me really well, you probably know what I'm about to say. How do I put this lightly without making me sound like a baby? There's no way around it. I was traumatized at the age of maybe 6 or 7 by the film E.T. I watched that movie and had legit nightmares about E.T. for probably 4 or 5 years afterward. So much so that like I was terrified of the dark. I was afraid to go to bed because he would see me in my dreams and freak me the fuck out. And yeah, that's all there is to it. So genuinely, space freaks me out because it makes me think of aliens, and thinking about aliens makes me sick to my stomach, I can't lie. But it seems like this is just kind of set in a society. I don't really know the plot of this book 100%. I could probably guess, but I might as well just start reading it and then tell you as I read the book, because from what I understand, it's really, really, really interesting. I think it's called Project Hail Mary because they're like sending this guy out into space as the last hope of humanity, essentially, sort of thing. And I think he wakes up like either not remembering something, like what he's doing or what's happening. I think that's kind of the point of the book. But I'm interested. I'm interested to see how this book goes. Honestly, this would be the exact book that my boyfriend would love because he loves space. Anyways, without further ado, I'm gonna get to reading this little bookie book here, and I will update you with my thoughts as soon as the plot starts picking up and I'm finding out more about what's going on in here. So, excited and scared. One thing about me though, before we start, is that I'm always a book girly that loves the vibes. I gotta have my vibes, okay? Yeah, I know, I have a lot of laundry right there. Don't worry about it. So pretty much no matter what book I read, always gotta have the vibes going. Whether it's romance, fantasy, whatever, it's usually just kind of like a rainy soundscape thing, ambiance. I love YouTube for ambiance. Love it. We're doing a space one, so we gotta do the starscapes. Anyways, let's get to reading. Okay, I'm about 15% into the book, like 70 pages in, and so far it's really good. It's definitely, like I said, not necessarily my genre of choice, but I'm finding it super interesting. I love science. That was like my favorite subject in school, so having a great time. Super interesting. I was definitely right about the concept. I haven't learned that much more about it so far, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm less than 100 pages into the book, and this is what I've gleaned so far. It's kind of like a mission, and when he wakes up, he kind of doesn't necessarily remember stuff, so it's kind of like him getting his memories back, piecing together the mission and what led up to it. So it's really interesting because he's getting his memories back in waves and stuff, so you're kind of like piecing the puzzle together with him as you go. It's almost like a mystery, you know, which is definitely keeping my intrigue because I love mysteries and thrillers. So far, really, really good. And they're making a movie version of it. I think they're gonna start filming in like a month, and it's starring Ryan Gosling. So that'll be cool and exciting to watch whenever that eventually happens, but so far extremely promising. One thing about this book is that it's way funnier than I thought it would be, and the fact that Ryan Gosling is gonna play the person, perfect, perfect. Okay, y'all, I am a little bit over 50% through this book. I'm about 55% through. It has taken a completely unexpected twist. I'm not mad about it. It took me off guard, but I'm not mad about it. Wow, this book is so good. Like, the stakes are so high. Things are happening. It's like, it's still kind of unraveling very slowly though, but there's always something going on. Like, it's always interesting. The way that you're just really just in this guy's mind as he's experiencing all these things. And like, normally when you're doing like very mundane, like minute to minute tasks with a person in their head in a book, it can sometimes get really boring. But because the stakes are so high, we're experiencing all of this with him, like kind of his memories coming back, figuring out what's going on, what his mission is, what's happening. It's really good. There's a lot of science in it, but the way that it's explained is like all of the science is explained and then he goes, oh, so that means, and then he kind of like explains the conclusion of it in more layman's terms, I guess. If you have a basic understanding of science and like you studied it a little bit, even if it was just like in middle school or high school, I feel like you'll get the basic like building blocks about it. I'm actually understanding a lot more of it than I thought I would because I had a really good high school. My high school was very good, so I feel like I learned a lot of science during my time there. It was also like basically my favorite subject, so I was always paying attention. But anyways, there's some really high level stuff in here, but you're still able to understand it, which I think is really awesome about this book. But so far, it's really good. Oh, God. I'm very interested to see where it goes from here. I'll probably update you again near the end or once I finish the book. Okay, it's 10:19 a.m. I have work at 3 p.m. I have a couple hours before I need to leave. I'm at 96% in this book, and I genuinely can't do anything until I finish because the end of this book is so high stress and high stakes. I just need to see what happens. I'm so... Ugh, how many actual pages do I have left in this book? Like, not that many. Okay, great. Because whenever it says 96, like, you can assume that the book is actually going to end at like 98% because the last 2% is like the acknowledgements and stuff. The dedication starts on page 476, I think, and I'm on page 458. So let's just bang out the rest of this book. You ever read something and you're so stressed that you feel like you can barely comprehend the words? Because that's literally what's happening right now. I'm like skimming and like, no, I need to actually pay attention. And this man goes into so much detail when he's explaining things, and a lot of the time it's really interesting. But right now I'm just like, okay, buddy, get to the point. Get to the point. Oh, don't you love when a meme makes it in? That was so good. Oh my gosh. Crazy. I'm reading the acknowledgements because there's a lot of science in this book, and I was wondering how many experts he had talking to him. That was so good. That was such a good book. It's definitely more science heavy. The stakes are really high the whole time, but I would say that the pace is probably like medium. It's not fast, not necessarily fast paced, not like super slow paced either, because the stakes are so high that you're kind of just like on the ride the whole time. But wow, I wasn't expecting to enjoy that as well. I don't know what I was expecting. Was I expecting to enjoy it as much as I did? It took a totally different turn than I thought, but it was really sweet, like very good. I was thinking of the main character as Ryan Gosling the whole time because that's who they cast in the movie. But anyways, wow. I'm definitely gonna have to sit on my thoughts for this for a second. In terms of the rating, I'll do all those at the end. I think I said that before. But great book. If you like science, if you like space, I definitely recommend it. Even if you don't and you kind of just vaguely, passively enjoy science fiction or space or anything, like if you're a fan of Star Wars or Star Trek, I would honestly suggest reading it or listening to it. My boyfriend is listening to it and I'm reading it. He's like 20 or so % into the book right now because I got a huge head start on him, and also I'm just a way faster reader because I read all the time. But he's really liking it so far and he's a huge space guy. Anyways, I don't really know what to say. I don't know what the next book is gonna be, but I'm gonna have to look at my list of books that have been suggested to me. I don't even know what I'm in the mood for now. Jeez. I think I'll try to find one that's easily accessible from my library, so let's do a little bit of looking around. And I'll probably start that other one sometime later today. Okay, it's later. I need to leave for work in T-minus 60 seconds. However, I'm starting the next book, which is an audiobook. It's gonna be Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. So, let's go. Okay, how far into this book am I? I've been doing the audiobook pretty much up until this point. I am 66% into the book. I have switched over to Kindle for Our Wives Under the Sea. I did not know what to expect with this book. I didn't really read the tags beforehand, and it's like one of the tags was horror, and I see why. There's a lot of, so far my thoughts, there's a lot of body horror. There's a lot of like grotesque imagery. It's nothing like so gross that I'm like, ew, I need to put this book down, but like it's enough to be like, ooh, like, ooh. So yeah, like clearly the main character that we're getting like most of the perspective in, it's technically dual POV. She clearly has like hypochondria. She's clearly a catastrophist, like her mind just spirals. She has crazy dreams, crazy thoughts. And it's wild. So it's definitely...
Sounds like someone I know.
It's definitely... Yeah, she has a lot of intrusive thoughts and kind of that stuff. It's really wild. And it's totally taking a turn that I did not expect. And I feel that I fear I know what's coming. And it's really not the kind of vibe that I would normally go for in a book. It's definitely on the slower side. And what I suspect is going to happen is definitely like so far out of the realm of the kind of book that I would normally choose for myself. I'm not like hating it, but I'm not loving it. I don't know how to feel about it really. It's kind of weird. It's just a weird, it's kind of a weird book. It's also very like visceral, I think is a good word to use. So yeah, that's my thoughts so far. We'll see what happens as we go. I'm probably gonna finish it pretty quickly because I kind of just want to know what happens at this point. But yeah. Alright, so I finished Our Wives Under the Sea. I don't know what to say. I genuinely have no idea what I'm gonna rate this book. So stay tuned for that, I guess. I will stay tuned for it as well because I have no clue. It was nothing, it was just not what I expected. Like, it was, I had like a very vague synopsis of what happened, and I feel like I explained at the beginning like what I thought the point of the book was, that there was like a wife that went down in a submarine thing, and it like kind of got trapped for a while, and then she came back up with some PTSD and blah blah blah. Things just kept devolving from there, and as soon as I kind of saw where the book was going, I was upset. I can't lie. I was not happy about it. I was not excited that this was the way that things were gonna pan out. It didn't really have a satisfying ending, and I know that that's not always gonna happen in a book, especially if it's like a more sad book or a dramatic one or a horror book or whatever. I really should have checked what kind of book this was going in. But at the same time, it's like, I'm trying out books that you guys have suggested that you like, just to like try out new things. I don't care. The thing is though, that I will say about the book is that it was written beautifully. Like at the very, very end, I must say I almost shed a tear because it's sad. It was written so well, like very beautifully. There were a lot of like body horror things that were brought up. There was a lot of similes and like kind of flowery lyrical writing that was very beautiful, and a lot of like universal kind of like life truths sprinkled in throughout the pages. There was a couple of passages that I highlighted because I was just like, wow, that really hits, you know? But yeah, essentially the way that it ended up was not what I was expecting. It was slightly just like not what I don't know. It was, I don't really have any words to say without spoiling everything. So I would say maybe look a little bit deeper into the synopsis before reading it so that you kind of know what you're getting yourself into, because I went in pretty blind, but I feel like I've been doing that for all these books on purpose to just kind of like experience them. I try to read as little about a book as possible so that I can just go in and not have any thoughts about it, because I've gone in with too many thoughts in my head and then I was like expecting things or like whatever. Anyways, long story short, this book was wild. I really don't know how I feel about it. Sorry, my dog's drinking water. So yeah, I really don't know what I'm gonna end up rating this book, but it was an interesting experience. I feel like I used to sit up here and talk to you guys all the time, and I kind of forgot that it's like a really good place to film. Anyways, unfortunately, I kind of ran out of time while reading these books, and now I just have to post this video. So I only got to read 3 books in this vlog. I'm sorry it wasn't more. I was planning on reading another one, but guess what? That just means that I'm gonna have to film a part 2 and probably a bunch more, because this is gonna become a whole series. So keep suggesting me books, as always, but I think what you're all really here for is the final reviews of these 3 books. So, number 1, The Do-Over by Bethany Turner. I think that my final review, my final rating on this book is that it was a cute rom-com, loved the vibes, adorable from start to finish, definitely gave me Emily Henry vibes, definitely an author that I'm going to be reading again in the future, based on enjoyment, good vibes, whatever. I think I'm going to rate it a 4.25 because it was a pretty freaking solid book, really cute, loved it, enjoyed it, had a great time. Wasn't perfect, obviously, because most books aren't, but I really enjoyed it. So a solid 4.25 for me. Moving on to the next book, which was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I think I'm gonna give it a 4.5. This book totally came out of left field for me. The reason why I wouldn't give it a 5 stars is because in certain parts it was a little bit slow. There also was a certain plot point that maybe threw me a little bit for a loop for a moment. But in general, it was just a really good book, like a great intro to science fiction reading, I think, for almost anyone, because at the end of the day, when they were explaining the sciencey stuff, they kind of like explained it again and why it made sense in terms of just like a normal person thinking or layman's terms or whatever. And it was a lot funnier than I expected. So I was like having a laugh. It was a good time all around. Lots of fun, suspense, drama, stakes, giggles. Like it did everything it needed to do, but it was a tiny bit slow in certain parts. Other than that, it was a really great book. So a solid 4.5 for that one. And now with Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. I hate to leave this vlog on a bit of a weird note. Not a weird note, but like, it was a weird one. I don't think I really properly explained how I felt in the last clip because I was honestly so shell-shocked from the ending and like the whole reading experience that I didn't really know how to put into words what my thoughts were. But in a nutshell, my thoughts on the book are beautifully written. Love that it's two women that are married. We love LGBTQ representation always. However, it was kind of weird for me personally. There was a lot of like body horror kind of things, and then like just weird stuff kind of happened. For me, that wouldn't necessarily have bothered me so much if I felt like there was more of a plot. I unfortunately am not really into the no plot, just vibes kind of books unless I'm in a really, 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 really specific mood. And that mood almost never comes about for me, unfortunately. I read a book not to like immerse myself in nothingness. I want like a story to follow along, you know what I mean? So for me, there was certain aspects that I was just like really wanting more from. Like there was a whole plot line with the submarine stuff that like could have been so interesting if they had actually gone into it. It was just a little bit disappointing in that way that like I was just really wanting more from like a certain part that could have totally like added to the whole mystery aspect of the book, which I was like kind of interested in. She was kind of just like, just kidding, not gonna tell you about that, just think about it a little bit and moving on. And I was like, no, I want to find out about that part. Like, this is really interesting. I want to find out what's going on with this. And now you're kind of just like telling me, I don't know what you're telling me. It's just kind of like weird things are happening and I don't know what's going on. And I don't know if you can hear the music that's coming from my neighbor's apartment right now, but that's actually kind of funny that we're experiencing that while talking about this book, because in the book their neighbors always have the TV on and it's like constant noise, which actually used to be the case with my upstairs neighbors, but he moved. So anyways, totally irrelevant. It was just kind of a weird book for me personally. I think for people that kind of enjoy a more no plot, just vibes, like atmospheric experience about people's memories and experiences, and like, I don't know, the mystery aspect was definitely lacking for me. The just weird stuff that was going on closer to the tail end of the book was definitely not something that I necessarily was into. It just felt a little bit too metaphorical for me personally. I think that this book could have been so good and I probably wouldn't have even been that mad about the stuff that happened in the second half of the book, but the thing that I wanted to know was never explored deeper. It was just a little bit disappointing for me. So I think I'm gonna give this book a 3. I'm so sorry. I wanted more at the end, and I was just like, now I just feel sad and weird on the inside. I feel empty, I feel disgusting, like I just feel sad and hollow, and I just wanted a little bit more from it. So yeah, it was a really short book too. Like, she really could have added the extra stuff and like made it really interesting. She just did not answer any of my questions that I had, and I know not all books need to answer your questions, okay? But for me, I'm the kind of girl that needs to know. You know what I mean? So anyways, I didn't regret the experience. I think in general, summation, final thoughts of the whole experience, I had so much fun reading these books, and I'm so excited to continue reading your guys' recommendations for me. I feel like in general, you know me pretty well, and if you're just suggesting books that you really liked, you think maybe I would like too, I am having a good experience kind of going out of my comfort zone, because obviously besides the romance, which is something that I read all the time, the sci-fi and like kind of like horror-y books are two things that I absolutely would have never chosen to read for myself. So I had a really good time like going out of my comfort zone, because finding out and reading these kinds of books are kind of helping me figure out exactly what I actually like and don't like, and it's kind of helping me narrow down the kinds of books that I enjoy reading, which I really only got back into reading in a big way like a couple of years ago, and I feel like I've mostly been sticking to similar genres. I literally just branched out into fantasy this year actually. I mostly was just reading like thrillers and romance novels at the beginning of my getting back into reading journey. Mostly thrillers actually, so I'm very picky about thrillers because I feel like a lot of them are just not good. I have so many thoughts and feelings about thrillers, and I will get into that in a whole other video. Don't you worry. But anyways, in terms of other books that I've not read before, I kind of am just like there for the ride, having an experience. And I definitely had many experiences while reading these 3 books. So thank you so much to Chrissy, Court, and Kaylin for suggesting these books. I'm super excited to read more. Keep suggesting me books. I'm super excited to keep reading them. That's it. I will see you in the next one. Till then, I'm sending you all my love. What do I say at the end of my videos? I totally forgot. Because we're all just trying our best out here. Oh my God. My brain. Okay. Bye. See you later. Bye-bye.